I've been racing my entire life. My car hasn't ever been outrun by any other state other than the 405. Bring that to the 405. I will bust your.
For a long time, Street Outlaws fans have wondered what went on behind the scenes, especially when it came to Chuck and how he got along with the other racers. Well, the wait is finally over. Chuck Seitsinger is speaking out for the first time. In this video, we're going to talk about the racers he had the most trouble with, the ones he truly couldn't stand. From intense races to fights that never made it on camera, this tell-all reveals the real stories of drama, betrayal, and big personalities that led to some of the wildest moments on the show. But who exactly is Chuck Seitsinger? Chuck Seitsinger, from garage kid to street racing legend. Chuck Seitsinger didn't grow up dreaming of being famous. He wasn't born with a silver spoon or flashy race cars in his backyard. But he did have something powerful, a deep love for cars, speed, and competition. From an early age, Chuck showed he had what it takes to rise through the ranks in one of the toughest, most dangerous sports out there: street racing. Born on February 18, 1970, in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Chuck grew up in a regular American home with his brother Dustin and sister Kimberly. He was a curious kid with busy hands and a fearless heart. While most kids were hanging out with friends or playing video games, Chuck found himself drawn to engines, tools, and anything with wheels. It wasn't long before he turned that interest into something much bigger. At just 16 years old, Chuck started working on cars to make a living. While other teens might have flipped burgers or worked at the mall, Chuck was under the hood, learning everything he could about how cars worked. He had no formal education in mechanics at first, but what he lacked in schooling, he made up for with heart, hard work, and a willingness to get dirty. By 1990, Chuck had found steady work as a technician at Honda. That was a huge moment for him. He didn't just work on engines, he studied them. He earned a Honda factory technician certificate, which helped him move up in the ranks. Eventually, he achieved one of the highest possible positions, a Honda factory-trained service advisor. But Chuck didn't stop there. He had a bigger dream brewing: racing. Once he had his first car and was legally allowed to drive, Chuck was off and running literally. He started street racing as soon as he could, and it quickly became more than just a hobby. He became addicted to the rush of pushing a car to its limits, feeling the tires grip the asphalt, and chasing victory 1/4 mile at a time. While Chuck raced on the streets for fun and pride, he also stepped into professional drag racing, where things were faster, louder, and more dangerous. In 2004, his hard work paid off when he was named Rookie of the Year by the NOPI Drag Racing Association, NDRA. That same year, he won the Nitrous Express P4 Xbox Cup Championship in the 4-cylinder division. These awards showed that Chuck wasn't just good, he was one of the best. If Chuck is known for anything outside of his name, it's the car he made famous: Death Trap. It sounds like a scary name, and it is, especially if you're on the track racing against it. The Death Trap started as a normal 1989 Ford Fox body Mustang, but Chuck had no plans to keep it normal for long. Over time, he made it faster, tougher, and more dangerous. The car now has a 429 cubic inch small block Chevy engine, a Braswell 4375 Area 51 carburetor, and twin turbos that boost it to insane speeds. It's no longer just a car, it's a machine built to win. Chuck first started modifying the Mustang in 2001. In the early days, it was just a side project. He poured time, money, and sweat into the build, hoping it would lead to something big. But things didn't take off right away. In fact, his first few tries weren't successful, and Chuck had to take a step back. He even tried other businesses, like importing and reselling goods, but they didn't really work out either. It seemed like nothing outside of racing brought the same success or excitement. Still, Chuck didn't give up. He just waited for the right opportunity to strike. That big opportunity finally came when Chuck was invited to join the Discovery Channel's hit reality show, Street Outlaws. The show follows a group of hardcore street racers, mostly based in Oklahoma City, also known as the 405, as they compete against each other for the top spot. Chuck fit right in. Not only was he one of the most skilled racers, but he was also one of the most respected veterans in the racing community. He quickly earned a reputation for driving the fastest small tire car in the 405, his beloved Death Trap Mustang. On the show, viewers watched as Chuck put everything on the line, risking his car, reputation, and even his safety every time he raced. What made him stand out wasn't just his speed, but also his determination. He wasn't afraid to go up against bigger, more powerful, big-tire cars. Over and over again, he proved that with skill, strategy, and the right machine, you don't need giant tires to win big. As if being a top racer wasn't enough, Chuck also took on the role of race master for the No Prep Kings series, a racing competition where the tracks are not prepped with traction aids, making the races more unpredictable and thrilling. It's a dangerous and wild style of racing, and it requires nerves of steel. Chuck not only participated, but helped lead the charge, earning even more respect from fans and fellow racers alike. Behind all the horsepower and high-speed drama, Chuck also runs a successful repair shop called Advanced Motorsports, where he and his team fix and upgrade vehicles. His hands-on experience from his early days as a technician still plays a big role in the shop's success. He brings the same focus and dedication to his business that he does to the racetrack. He also owns his own brand, Chuck Seitsinger Racing. Between his shop, his racing career, and his television fame, Chuck has built a small empire rooted in horsepower, heart, and hustle. Chuck's estimated net worth is around $650,000, thanks largely to his appearances on Street Outlaws. Like many reality TV stars, Chuck doesn't share much about his income publicly, especially when it comes to his earnings from the show. Still, based on what other cast members make, it's safe to say he's doing well. Chuck's path hasn't been without obstacles. He's faced highs and lows, everything from failed businesses to early trouble getting his car, the Death Trap, up to speed. But he's always pushed forward. Today, his name is known by fans all over the country. Young fans admire him and fellow racers respect him. What started as a simple passion for cars has turned Chuck Seitsinger into a symbol of perseverance and determination. He proves what's possible when you keep chasing your dream, no matter how tough it gets. Even though Chuck has been really successful on Street Outlaws, he hasn't always gotten along with everyone. In fact, he's even spoken out about the racer he had the most trouble with. So who was it? And what caused all the tension? While Chuck didn't exactly rank who he disliked the most, there were definitely a few racers he just couldn't stand and were about to break them down. Justin Shearer. Justin Shearer, better known as Big Chief to fans of Street Outlaws, has been a major face of the show since it first aired, back in 2013. With over a decade on the show, Big Chief is one of the longest-running and most recognized racers in the series. He's known worldwide for his long list of racing victories and his deep love for street racing. His name carries weight in the racing community, and his bold personality has helped shape the show into what it is today. But even the biggest names can fall into drama, especially when fierce competition and long-standing rivalries come into play. In one of the most intense moments of the season, things completely broke down between Big Chief and fellow racer Chuck Seitsinger. The clash happened during the final list race of the season, a night when all the racers were fighting hard for the top spots. Chuck was sitting at number 1, with Murder Nova in second, Monza in third, and Big Chief just behind them in fourth place. The pressure was sky high, and everybody knew this was their last shot to climb the ranks. What made this episode even more explosive was that Chuck and Big Chief weren't just rivals on the road. They had been friends for over 20 years. They had shared victories, struggles, and a passion for street racing that had bonded them over time. But as the final race approached, that friendship started to fall apart. Earlier in the season, Big Chief and Murder Nova had been seen talking strategy. They were planning how to move up the list and possibly help each other along the way. To some racers, that's just smart thinking. But to Chuck, it felt like scheming. He didn't like the idea of racers forming alliances behind the scenes. In his eyes, street racing was supposed to be straightforward, man versus man, car versus car. Anything that looked like game playing or favoritism rubbed him the wrong way. In the season finale, all that tension came to a head. Big Chief, always honest about his competitive nature, openly admitted during the episode that he would do almost anything to win. And that's true, he's always been a fierce competitor, but Chuck didn't see it as healthy competition this time, he saw it as manipulation. Chuck felt that Big Chief wasn't racing fair. He believed there were moves happening behind the scenes, possibly agreements or race night tactics that were tilting things in Chief's favor. Chuck was frustrated, and it showed. During their confrontation, he bluntly said he felt like there were games being played. Those words hit hard. To Chuck, racing was more than a contest. It was a lifestyle, a code of honor. And he felt like Big Chief had broken that code. Big Chief, surprised and defensive, tried to calm things down, clearly not wanting to turn this into a full-blown fight. But Chuck wasn't in the mood to back down. He snapped, yelling at the top of his lungs. Then, full of anger and disappointment, he stormed off. It wasn't just frustration from a race, it looked personal. Big Chief called out after him, "20-year friends, don't walk away, man!" But Chuck didn't stop. That moment showed just how badly things had crumbled between them. This wasn't just a disagreement over racing strategy. For Chuck, it felt like betrayal. He had known Big Chief for years. He'd trusted him. So seeing Chief team up with others like Murder Nova and Birdman behind the scenes didn't sit well with him. Chuck believed these alliances were being used to influence who got to race whom and when. That made the races feel less about speed and skill and more about politics. Chuck even pointed out that he hadn't really seen Chief around lately except for a quick moment at the drivers' meeting. That distance made Chuck feel like Chief was pulling strings from behind the curtain, not standing face to face like a true competitor. Fans watching the episode could sense that this argument had deeper roots. Some believed the tension had been building for a long time. Chuck had been noticing how Chief was changing, spending more time forming partnerships, keeping his cards close, and, in Chuck's eyes, focusing more on control than racing. That change turned Chuck's respect into frustration, and in this final race, all those feelings came spilling out. To make matters worse, not everything went according to plan for Chief or Doc on that race night. Some of the biggest names didn't even bring their cars. The entire list movement was shaken up, and chaos replaced clarity. The night, which should have been a final push for glory, ended in confusion, disappointment, and a friendship torn apart. Chuck's dislike for Big Chief was clear. It wasn't just about losing trust, it was about feeling used. Chuck saw Chief's actions as sneaky, calculating, and damaging to the spirit of street racing. And when the cameras rolled, he didn't hide how he felt. He was loud, emotional, and honest. What was once a powerful racing friendship now seemed like a rivalry full of distrust and hurt. Chuck felt betrayed, and Big Chief felt misunderstood. Whether they'll ever return to the bond they once had is anyone's guess. But one thing's for sure. On the streets, loyalty is everything. And once it's broken, the road back is never easy. Chris Kamikaze Day. Chuck and Kamikaze were once good friends and had mutual respect as racers. They shared a love for fast cars, competition, and being part of the Street Outlaws crew. For a while, they appeared to get along well, with no major drama. But eventually, things started to shift behind the scenes. Chuck has hinted in interviews and social media posts that the friendship between him and Kamikaze ended due to what he described as disloyalty and a lack of integrity. While neither of them gave a step-by-step breakdown of the falling out, Chuck has made it clear that he felt Kamikaze crossed a line. It seems the issue wasn't about racing alone, it was personal. Some fans believe the split may have had to do with trust issues, possibly involving disagreements over racing ethics, money, or things that happened off camera. Chuck felt Kamikaze was being dishonest or acting two-faced, saying one thing in person and doing another behind his back. At one point, Chuck went on record saying that Kamikaze was not the same guy he used to be when they first started racing together. He felt the fame and attention changed Kamikaze and that he wasn't being real anymore. Chuck values loyalty and directness, and when he thought Kamikaze no longer stood for those things, he cut ties. Chuck didn't hold back when he was asked about Kamikaze in interviews. He has referred to Kamikaze as someone he no longer trusts and has made it clear they don't speak anymore. He even said he doesn't consider Kamikaze part of his circle at all. Although Chuck has never aired every dirty detail, his message was clear. Something serious happened that made him walk away from the friendship completely. Fans who know Chuck's personality understand that once you burn that bridge with him, there's usually no going back. Chris Kamikaze Day has stayed mostly quiet about the conflict. He hasn't responded directly to Chuck's comments, and he hasn't given his version of the story in public. Some fans respect that, others wish he'd clear the air. But his silence has only added to the mystery of what really caused the rift. As of now, Chuck and Kamikaze have no relationship, no friendship, no racing partnership, no public interaction. They don't race together, and Chuck has said he has no interest in reconciling. The friendship is over, and the damage, at least from Chuck's side, seems permanent. While the full story may never be told, it's clear that Chuck felt betrayed by someone he once considered a close friend. Whatever happened behind the scenes, it was enough to end not just a friendship, but any future connection between the two racers. Ryan Martin. Chuck Seitsinger and Ryan Martin may not have had a loud public feud, but if you pay close attention, it's clear there's no love lost between them, at least from Chuck's side. While some might call it a simple rivalry, Chuck's actions and attitude suggest something deeper. He can't stand Ryan. It all came to a head when they were both battling for top spots on the famous 405 list. At the time, Ryan was ranked number 3, and Chuck was stuck just behind him at number 4. Neither of them liked the way the rankings were going. Chuck especially felt that the system wasn't fair. He believed it was rigged in favor of racers like Big Chief and Daddy Dave, who he claimed were making backdoor deals and helping each other stay on top. Chuck wasn't afraid to say what others were only thinking. He made it clear he believed Ryan was part of the problem. Even though Ryan didn't show it, Chuck felt that Ryan was playing along with the system, smiling on the outside while working angles behind the scenes. Chuck thought Ryan looked clean, but wasn't being totally honest. To shake things up, Chuck released Ryan from his call-out, basically stepping aside so Ryan could jump the line and race the number 2 spot. Some people saw that as a smart strategy, but many others, especially fellow racers, felt it was bending the rules, or worse, manipulating the list to mess things up. But that was classic Chuck. He doesn't like following rules he thinks are broken, and in his mind, letting Ryan jump ahead was a way to expose the way things were really working behind closed doors. He wanted to send a message, and Ryan was caught in the middle of it. Things really boiled over in the episode titled, "What's Up, Doc?" when Chuck and Ryan finally faced each other on the street. This wasn't just about rankings anymore, it was about control, respect, and ego. Chuck wanted to prove that Ryan didn't deserve the praise he was getting. And when the two lined up, Chuck wasn't just racing to win, he was racing to knock Ryan down a peg. To Chuck, Ryan wasn't just another racer. He saw him as the golden boy of the show. Fans loved Ryan. He had a clean image, sharp cars, and a calm attitude. But Chuck couldn't stand that. He felt Ryan got too much credit, and that people overlooked the fact that Ryan, in his eyes, was just another racer trying to work the system to his advantage. Chuck's style has always been loud, aggressive, and emotional. Ryan, on the other hand, keeps his cool. He doesn't yell or start drama. and that only seemed to irritate Chuck even more. To him, Ryan's calmness felt fake, like he was hiding something. Chuck, who wears his heart on his sleeve, didn't trust that. Chuck has hinted more than once that he doesn't respect Ryan the way fans do. He thinks Ryan benefits from a soft reputation and good editing. But behind the scenes, Chuck believes Ryan's part of the quiet politics that ruin real racing. In Chuck's eyes, real racers speak up, even if it stirs the pot. And Ryan? Chuck thinks he plays it too safe, both on and off the track. Even though they haven't had a screaming match or an official fallout, the tension is always there. Chuck talks like he sees through the show's nice guy image of Ryan. He thinks Ryan's fans are fooled by what they see on screen and that the real story is hidden behind the scenes. Chuck also believes he's had to fight harder for everything. Respect wins, ranking, while Ryan just slides in with a smile and a fast car. That eats at him. Chuck is someone who's built his street cred through tough battles and raw emotion. So when he sees Ryan get treated like a top dog without showing the same fire, it rubs him the wrong way. In a way, Chuck and Ryan are complete opposites. Chuck is loud, passionate, and unpredictable. Ryan is quiet, methodical, and polished. That contrast fuels the rivalry. Fans pick sides. Some love Chuck's fire and honesty. Others prefer Ryan's calm focus and clean racing. But if you ask Chuck, it's not just a rivalry, it's a personal dislike masked by professionalism. He might not say the words, but his actions, his tone, and his constant jabs make it pretty clear. Chuck doesn't trust or respect him, and he doesn't think Ryan deserves to be seen as the face of Street Outlaws. Sean Ellington. Sean Ellington, better known as Murder Nova, has been a fan favorite on Street Outlaws for years. Known for his skills on the street and his down-to-earth personality, Sean balances fame with regular life, working at his auto body shop when he's not on screen. While he's still respected in the racing world, his relationship with fellow racer Chuck Seitsinger has grown tense over time, not because of one big fight, but because of slowly growing differences in how they view racing and the direction of their careers. Chuck has always been all about street racing. His focus is on winning races, climbing the 405 list, and staying true to the street racing culture that built the show. Sean, on the other hand, has started to branch out. He's become more interested in the broader world of car culture, custom builds, brand development, and business ventures like Midwest Street Cars. That shift didn't sit well with Chuck, who sees anything less than full dedication to racing as a sign of losing focus. Fans have pointed out that one reason for the growing divide is Sean's decision to limit his participation in the No Prep Kings spin-off series. Most of the Oklahoma City crew, including Chuck, agreed to race in NPK events. Chuck went all in. Sean, however, reportedly chose not to get heavily involved. This decision frustrated some racers, especially Chuck, who may have viewed it as Sean stepping away from the team effort. Adding to the tension, Justin Big Chief Shearer also stepped back from NPK and other events, which made Sean seem even more distant from the core OKC group. While Street Outlaws highlighted some of the drama between Chuck and Sean, fans believe the show's editing may have made things look worse than they are. Some viewers think the tension is mostly about different priorities. Chuck wants to stay focused on racing, while Sean is enjoying other aspects of the car world. Online comments suggest that the two might still be on decent terms outside of the cameras, but that their paths have clearly drifted apart. From Chuck's perspective, it's not just about business, it feels personal. He values loyalty and 100% commitment to the street. Watching someone like Sean shift gears toward business and branding likely feels like a betrayal of what the show originally stood for. Even if Chuck doesn't openly hate Sean, there's obvious resentment. He sees Sean as no longer being all in, and that eats away at the respect they once shared. In the end, the friction between Chuck and Sean reflects a deeper split within Street Outlaws between staying loyal to the streets and adapting to fame, money, and a bigger car culture. Chuck lives for the street. Sean has moved beyond it. And that difference, more than any argument, has changed their relationship. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.